Welcome to the weekly rundown. Let's get straight to the receivers. If you watch the first half of the podcast, you would see that I'm all chalk this week. It's gonna continue again, especially considering that if Ben Roethlisberger plays, because now we're back to having the Antonio Brown that we're actually used to, instead of the Michael Vick version of Antonio Brown, which is basically Dwayne Bowe or insert a bad receiver here, where you get hardly any production. I mean, Antonio Brown is basically could be the number one wide receiver in football when he's got Big Ben. He's currently priced as the eighth wide receiver. I don't think it needs any more analysis than that. London, who do you like?
I like Stephon Diggs, man, from Minnesota. You talk about what this kid has done the last couple ball games. 19 receptions, over 300 yards. A touchdown. I mean, this kid is averaging 21, over 21 fantasy points per game. He is a kid, and he's still, for some reason, he's still being overlooked on fantasy draft sites. So. He's now very costly. Stephon Diggs and AJ Green. He's going to be a little bit more. He's going to be more expensive. But when you think about what he's done against the Pittsburgh Steelers, even just last year, 19 receptions, over 300 yards, 28 targets. You figure they're going to look to get him involved. So those are two guys I like at the wide receiver position.
Mike, what do you think?
Man, we're all kind of on the same page today. I have one guy that London mentioned, one guy you mentioned. One guy that you guys didn't mention is Eric Decker. He's been great in the red zone. The last few seasons, he's one of the leaders in red zone targets since 2012, a pretty good conversion rate. And if you look at the Oakland Raiders pass defense, it's not very good. That's how they get attacked. So I think we could see more volume from the Jets passing game than usual. And all the targets go to Marshall and Decker. So I think there's enough for both of them to eat pretty well in this game, and Decker's just got the more favorable price.
And I think if you think about another thing with Ivory kind of banged up, that kind of affected Jets and their probably their commitment to running the football. So maybe they will look to air it out a little bit more against the Raiders.
Yeah, that definitely helped.
Crazy to think Ryan Fitzpatrick's thrown 2 touchdowns in each game. I mean, And I wanted to throw in an honorable mention just so you know I'm not all chalk this week. Stevie Johnson, I think the tight ends have a very difficult matchup against the Ravens, but the wide receivers are going to go nuts. I like all the wide receivers, but I think Johnson makes a lot of sense out of the slot. Let's go to tight end. I told you I like that Carolina offense. With Rob Gronkowski playing on Thursday, I'm going Greg Olsen. He's kind of a tight end monster. The Colts are a middle of the road defense against tight ends, but I think Cam's going to be looking for him, and I just think he's going to produce. London, who do you like?
I like Tyler Eifert, man. He's one of the top tight ends in the league for a reason. He's a matchup nightmare. They flex him out and line him up against cornerbacks, and most of the times, he's beating cornerbacks, so it's not like he's just beating, only safeties and linebackers. He's going out there beating cornerbacks as well. So, and they utilize him in all different kind of ways. I like Tyler Eifert against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Mike mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers pass defense earlier. They're not the best pass defense, so look for Eifert to have a big day.
Mike, what do you think?
I'm going a little bit cheaper. I know based on tight end matchups, it doesn't look that great, but Ladarius Green, if Antonio Gates is out, he's just a really good athlete, 6'6", 240, big guy. He can run really well, and I expect the volume of that passing game to be so high and Rivers to have so much success that if you're going to go cheap at tight end, Green seems like a nice combination of a good floor, but with pretty big upside given his athleticism.
Hey, Mike, what do you think about Gresham from Arizona? He's going against Cleveland's defense. He's starting to seem like Carson Palmer's starting to target him a little bit more. You like Gresham? If you mentioned going a little bit inexpensive, he's a guy that maybe you can get more bang for your buck if you want to look to save money at the tight end position.
I'm just worried that he could completely bust given how many of the targets in that offense are going to the wide receivers. And they're road favorites, so I could see them turning to Chris Johnson a lot in the second half. I could see it in a tournament, especially you'd get a lot of leverage because people are going to be on either Chris Johnson or the receivers, and that would be a pretty low-owned play in a tournament. But I'm just worried in a cash game the volume isn't safe enough. You could end up with like a 1 or 2 catch game that doesn't give you enough to compete with the other rosters.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think about it like daily NBA, where if a player's covered by an elite player, so in this case, the Charger tight ends, I think someone else is going to make up for that production, but that's not always the truth. Sometimes guys produce in difficult matchups, especially if Antonio Gates is out. So I just want to throw that out there. Let's go to the defenses. I know that's London's specialty, so I'm not going to sit here and babble. Atlanta defense. Tampa's 20.5 point implied point total are fourth lowest, so they're not expected to give up much points. I know Winston hasn't thrown an interception in his last two, but Atlanta's intercepted 8 passes, which is tied for sixth. So, maybe they pressure him, maybe they get one. I don't think they allow a lot of points, which is nice in our scoring format. So I like Atlanta defense. I know you're probably going to go with someone that I wanted to use, so I'll leave it up to you.
You see me smiling because I think we both like the St. Louis Rams. I mean, you talk about they get the San Francisco 49ers, and wow, Colin Kaepernick, man, the San Francisco 49ers, they're a mess right now from an offensive standpoint. You think about playing at home against the 49ers and that pass rush. I expect the St. Louis Rams to really get after them. We saw what they did against the Cleveland Browns at home last week. So St. Louis Rams, I'm sure, will be a play by a lot of people.
Yep, Mike, what do you think?
In cash games, I'm rolling with the Rams. That's the chalk play. They're the best one. Yep. But in tournaments, I like the Packers. They might be low owned. I think they have a lot of upside. The Broncos' offense has been terrible. They've been completely covered up by their defense. But Manning's arm strength just isn't there. He's throwing picks, some pick sixes. So if Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, even though they're on the road, if they can get ahead in this one and force Manning to throw a lot, there's a lot of potential for sacks, turnovers, and the strength of the Packers defense is the pass defense, not the run defense. So I think there's some upside there, but yeah, in cash games, the Rams.
That helps Green Bay is the fact that the Broncos can't run the ball. So that's something they can't even take advantage of against the Packers defense, the ability to gash them in the running game.
Yeah, and it seems like it would be a shootout. Like the past couple of years, this game would set up to be a shootout. But with the way both defenses are right now and the way the Broncos' offense has fallen off, I think people are overlooking the Packers' defense.
Yeah, a few points here. It's weird that the wide receivers are still getting theirs in the Denver offense, as bad as Manning's been. If they're still catching passes, they're just short passes, but the fantasy points are racking up. And London, I think our loyal viewers are happy to hear you talk about Kaepernick as opposed to me, because I pick the defense against them just about every week. So it's good to see you going with them and not me. Now it's time for the questions. That's always my favorite part. We usually get some ridiculous ones, but we've got a loyal Bills fan here, a long-time season ticket owner. So okay. I'm just going to open it up to him to begin the questions, because I know he was looking forward to talking to you, and it's nice to hear a different voice grilling you for a change. So Mike, what do you got for him?
All right, cool.
Well, as a fan, one of my most memorable seasons was 2004 when the Bills made a late push to make the playoffs, and you were part of that defense that just went on an insane run. I think you guys were 3-6 and almost won the last 7.
Yeah, we were getting after some folks that year.
Yeah, so I guess I was just wondering what it was like to be on that run. There was a crazy run where the defense and the special teams both were just absolutely dominant that season.
Oh, man, that was amazing. That was probably, I would say, the most fun I've had playing defense. In my whole NFL career, each week, we knew we were going to just go out and dominate a team. I think you mentioned that stretch, probably the last 6 or 7 ball games or whatever, we were beating teams like 30-3, 30-10. These weren't close games at all. We're scoring points on defense, sacking the quarterback. I mean, we went out to Seattle, beat them up. Went out to San Francisco, beat them up. I mean, it was just and then the last ball game of the year, we got a chance against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we blew it. We blew it. Because I think if we would have gotten to the playoffs that year, I really don't think a team would have been able to beat us. That's how well we were playing and how much confidence we had.
Yeah, I remember that last game. At one point, Nate Clements had a pick 6 in that last game of the regular season. That probably the only time since I was old enough to really appreciate the Bills that I really thought we were going to the playoffs was
Yes,
after that.
yeah, and we did too.
But yeah, that was fun. I'm glad to hear your take on it. That was a hell of a season.
There you go. If you got nothing else, let's get into the questions. But yeah, that was definitely a good team, London. Let me start with one. I'm actually going to open this up to both of you. This is a two-parter for you, London, so I'll start with you because it's going to be slightly different. Do you have an all-time favorite hit where you laid someone out that you remember? That one's not for Leone. And what was your most embarrassing moment on the field? And I'm going to, after you answer that, I'm going to ask you, Leone, what's your most embarrassing moment on a podcast? Let's start with London.
Hits. Oh, man. Being that I played the middle linebacker position, I've had quite a few hits. I think the one that everybody kind of sees now a lot is the hit I had on Brandon Jacobs. It was on the opening game of the season, Thursday night football. They were coming off of the defending Super Bowl champions, and he catches a little pass, and he's one of my teammates goes low on him. He's trying to jump over him, and I caught him right as he's jumping, and I hit him so hard. He falls back, I fall to the side. That was a big collision. One that's one that stands out. As far as most embarrassing moment on the football field, you're talking about me, man. I'm not really the type of guy to get embarrassed on the football field. So, but there was a time when Mike, I was playing. This when I was playing in Buffalo, and we were playing the Dolphins at home, and they threw a swing pass out to Ricky Williams, and it was one of those passes where it was in a flat, like is it a forward pass or backwards pass and things like that. So, it was kind of a forward pass. I knew it. So, but I'm running over there to still send him a message. So I'm running full speed, going at him, and at the very last minute he ducked and flipped me over his head. So that was pretty embarrassing. Then I get up to try to play it off and wanted the referee to give him a penalty.
There you go. Mike, I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you have a most embarrassing moment on air? It doesn't have to be just a podcast.
One particular one, but I am horrible at pronunciating a lot of different names. So sometimes during the basketball season, the NBA season, I can butcher some names pretty badly. I'm trying to think. There was one, David Kitchen of Fantasy Insiders probably knows that I just got ripped on over and over again when I did that podcast. But
can you pronounce Giannis?
Oh my God! That was what. So I was on Sirius one time talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Wow! Whoa.
His last name is like. So I started to say his last name on air, and then I knew I couldn't do it halfway through, and I just go. I just transferred into his nickname, and one of my buddies heard me. He goes, "I heard you stop mid last name, just go to his nickname."
Right.
Yeah, I have a horrible habit of calling people by the wrong first name, so that's where I go with it. Myers Leonard, I'll call him Miles, and I actually had to delete that tweet earlier today because for some reason, some people I think they're someone else. So that definitely is where it gets me. Let's go to the second and final question. At what point, and I'll give this to both of you, if any, and I think I know the answer, do you expect Todd Gurley and or Amari Cooper to hit the rookie wall? London?
Oh man, I don't know that Gurley's going to hit the rookie wall because you think about him. He missed the first 4 or 5 ball games, first few ball games of the season, and I'm sure they'll be smart about how they play him the rest of the year. But if it's going to happen, it would probably come maybe week 14 or 15, and same with Cooper. That's generally when the rookies are kind of hit that wall when you're week 14, week 15, where normally their college season, they're used to it being over with, and you still have a few more ball games left.
Mike, you think either of them are hitting it?
I think they're both special players. Not to cop out, I really don't think we're going to see either of them hit a rookie wall. At some point, Gurley in fantasy might be a little bit overrated because he's not catching a ton of passes. So if he gets in a game where they're trailing a lot and his price finally catches up to his production, but in the near term, he looks like the real deal. They're committed to the run, so I'm not too worried about either guy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected to hear from you. I don't think I'm worried about either of those. Those are two of the best rookies. Derek Carr already says Cooper's one of the best, so I think those are guys you continue to start. That is all for our content today. Mike, I want to open up to you to tell what's going on at Daily Roto. I mean, you guys, not to suck up or kiss ass, because I got no reason to, but you guys were great to me. I mean, you taught me most of what I knew. So, what do you have going on over there? Because I highly recommend it to everyone.
Well, first of all, of course, we miss you, Ricky, and your great NBA write-ups. Love the recaps and the puns. Ricky's puns game is on point. But we've got our premium NFL package going on right now. We do site-specific cheat sheets. We do analysis each and every week. Comes with a strategy article. And we get really in-depth and really trying to educate the subscribers on who to pick, how to pick, why we're picking them, and not just spoon feed any lineups. And the lineup alerts we email out are huge too, because you never know what's going to happen Sunday morning. So we'll send out all the inactives and how that's going to affect things.
There you go. And you got the same kind of thing going on for basketball. So for those of you who are multi-sport players like we are, they've got all that stuff going on. Go check it out. And I must say, if my puns come anywhere near Drew Dinkmeyer's and I get a tweet telling me that they're Drew-esque, that's nothing but a compliment. So until next time, I'm Ricky Sanders with London Fletcher. And thanks again, Mike, for coming. We are out.